Sometimes, a single moment can unravel a mystery spanning decades. In a small Minnesota town, three boys riding their bikes home never imagined the terror that would unfold when a masked stranger stepped into their path. I'm Zoe. Welcome to Talescape. One night in a small town in Minnesota, three boys were riding their bikes home from the video store. They were almost home when suddenly, bam! A masked man stepped out into the road, pointing a gun straight at them. He ordered them to throw their bikes down and lie in a ditch. Scared, the boys obeyed. The man grabbed one of the boys, who was just 11 years old, and sent the other two running into the woods, warning them not to look back or he'd shoot. Then he handcuffed the 11-year-old, put him in the front seat of his car, and drove 23 miles to a gravel pit. There, he assaulted him and in the end, shot and killed him. The man then found a skid steer loader at a construction site nearby, dug a hole, and buried the boy's body. Meanwhile, the other two boys had run back to get help. Someone called 911, and within minutes, the sheriff's department arrived and started looking for the 11-year-old. Unfortunately, they couldn't find him. The FBI quickly got involved, launching a massive search with helicopters and everything. It became the talk of the small town, but despite their efforts, the boy was nowhere to be found. As the case gained attention, the boy's family learned about a similar unsolved case from 9 months earlier in a nearby town. Another boy, 12 years old, had been kidnapped, assaulted, and then let go. He told police that the man had told him to run into the woods and not look back or he'd be shot, just like the masked man's warning. Police worked with the 12-year-old and created a sketch of the attacker. They wondered if the man in the sketch was the same as the masked man, but still, no closer to solving the murder, the case went cold. 21 years later, a blogger named Curious Joy became interested in the case. She was an amateur investigator and decided to dig deeper into what happened. She retraced the steps of that tragic night, visiting the site of the kidnapping and interviewing key people. In her search, she found an article from 1987 about a series of assaults and attempted assaults on young boys in a nearby town. She reached out to the 12-year-old, now grown up, and asked if he thought the same person was involved. He agreed. Together, they brought this information to the 11-year-old's parents, who were still desperately seeking answers. The parents began pushing the police to reopen the case, and with the persistence of Curious Joy and the survivor, the case started to gain more attention. The two were eventually featured on CNN's The Hunt, which brought the FBI back into the picture. They reviewed the case and noticed some suspects from the original investigation had never been fully cleared. One of these suspects was a man named Danny, who had been a suspect not only in the 11-year-old's case, but also in the 12-year-old's. Back in the day, there wasn't enough evidence to charge him, but now DNA technology could help. The FBI reanalyzed the evidence and found a DNA match with Danny. Armed with this, they raided his home and found child pornography, enough to arrest him. He was held in custody for about a year before taking a plea deal, confessing to both the crimes against the 11-year-old and the 12-year-old. He even led police to where he had buried the 11-year-old's body. Danny was sentenced to 20 years in prison, and after more than 2 decades, justice was finally served. Thanks to the relentless pursuit of answers from an unlikely team of a blogger and a survivor, the truth behind this decades-old crime has finally come to light. Justice, though delayed, was served, bringing closure to a case that haunted Minnesota for years. Never underestimate the power of determination and a community that refuses to let a story fade away.